You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn connects you with experts from all over the world to help you take charge of your career, your business, and your life. Rap along with us. Visit drjacalyn.com to learn how to become a guest or a sponsor. And now, the doctor is in.
Hello and welcome to USA Global TV and Business Talk Radio. You're watching Life's Amazing Journey. I'm Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, and we are thrilled to have you here today for our first show of 9 today. Can you imagine? What a way to kick off the weekend. Joining me today, as always, is the star of our show, John Christian, entertainer extraordinaire. Everyone is wooing when he sings because he's got such a beautiful voice, but he really leads from his heart, which I truly love about him. He is a coach, he is an author, and he is someone who truly is an inspiration because he really cares about other people. Welcome to the show. Whoops, sorry to get you during your drink. Well, welcome. How are you doing today there in the UK?
I'm very good, thank you very much. And how are you doing stateside?
It's a magnificent day, and I woke up feeling the pressure of the 75 Hard Challenge, trying to get my workout in and my reading in and everything in before having my 9 shows. So,
right.
So it's all good. I got it done.
Yeah, well, we need to hear more about that today.
Well, guess what, John? Our guest is not able to join us today. Unfortunately, she is under the weather. So she tried to call me last night, which I didn't see on. It's amazing. And you know this. There's so many ways to contact people now. I was just used to email, texting, and the phone. And now it's WhatsApp, it's Instagram, it's Facebook Messenger. It's just like, and if you don't check all of them, you don't know. LinkedIn Messenger. It's crazy. So
you think the global brain would be more clear and more helpful, but it's becoming more scrambled.
It's really more scrambled, and then people leave a message and it might be there for a couple of days and you didn't see it because there's so many other things. But anyway, the great news is it's just you and me today. So
hey, listen, I love it. This is
life
on the hop.
Exactly. We could talk for hours, so it's all good. So I would love to hear what's going on with you. I know you've got a big move coming. Any decisions that you've made so far?
Yeah, well, actually, we're still in the process of going through all the contracts and the surveyors and all that kind of stuff that has to be done. So waiting for, conclusions on all of that. And then, as I do in my life, I follow my gut feeling, my intuition, and when I feel it's time for real change and new beginnings, I jump. So that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing.
Fantastic. So how much time is there between when you actually will make a decision going by your intuition? Is it a couple months or 6 months?
Well, in terms of the practicalities of things, the estate agents and surveyors are telling me possibly end of September.
Oh, soon. Okay.
Yeah.
Relatively soon. So a question I have for you, because you are very adventurous and you are like, I know since I got divorced in 1999, I've moved, I think this was my 12th or 13th move. So my question for you is, when you make the move, if you decide to leave the country or whatever it is you're going to do, will you be shedding a lot of material items that you've collected? What does that look like?
Have I ever? And it feels so good. Every time I can throw something out, I feel that little bit lighter, literally, in energy and every way. I mean, it's a real challenge for some things that I've had to go through. A whole family history of photographs of mum, dad, and sister, etc. So I find myself keeping 1 or 2 things that I didn't intend to keep.
And before you know it, they start to accumulate. I'm trying to think what the movie was. It's a very old movie. I want to say it was called Cocktail with Tom Cruise. But I think that's the one where he just picks up, or somebody in the show just picks up and moves to an island. And I always thought, how could you do that? Just like leave everything behind. But I think it sounds very attractive, actually.
Do you know what? I mean, the best examples I've had of the sense of freedom that comes with that was with my Japanese meditation master. And she was totally free. I've never met anybody so unattached to anything, and yet so alive and so happy. Free mentally, free emotionally, free physically. A real revelation. She was the first person in 500 years that the Japanese recognized as a fully awake individual, or enlightened, depending on the terminology you like. So it was something else to be with somebody in a physical body that had such a conscious sense of absolute freedom.
I love that. Was it innate or something that she worked on for a while?
No, it was at the age of 27, her story was that she was meditating in the temple, and suddenly she said she was engulfed by spirit, and she was taken and shown in an expanded state of conscious awareness how the universe works. And then she realized after that that not many other people had had the same experience. So she dedicated her life to try and help people to wake up, expand their sense of conscious connection and intelligence. And that was the rest of her journey from then on.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Wow. 27. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if 58, if there's still hope. I'm not sure. No kidding.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. I had my similar experience also at the age of 27. That's what got me onto this path too, and led me to people like Tamasan. We're in a fascinating time when things are fundamentally changing in every way, the good and the bad. But there's a lovely poem by one of our visionaries, just a couple of lines from it, where he said, "Thank God our time is now, when wrong comes up to face us everywhere, never to leave us until man takes the greatest stride of soul man ever took. Affairs are now soul size. The exploration is exploration into God. It takes so many years to wake, but will you wake for pity's sake?"
Yeah. Wow. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Very powerful too. Thank you for sharing that.
Well, we have so many, visionaries. This is the beauty, I think, when you start to understand that there's much more to us than just the limitation of the 5 physical senses, and you practice such things as mindfulness and meditation, and then you start to experience, it's like literally you can tune into the cosmic wave bands, and and when you look at it, all of our greatest adventures have come through that. Edison, Einstein, they all found ways to put the personality mind, the thinking mind, to aside, and then they would ask a question in that deep place of reflection, which is actually like a transcendent place beyond the thinking mind and the 5 senses. And in that place of attunement, all of our greatest inventions have come from, and some of our most beautiful music and songs. I've worked with so many artists that, very famous artists, that have said to me, Paul McCartney said this, he said, I never really wrote anything. It was already out there. I just taught myself how to bring it through and play.
He just channeled the music, I guess, that was already there. Is that what he was saying?
Yeah. And I think this
interesting.
This is a capability for all of us. And when we realize this, when it comes to building businesses and stuff like that, rather than what we've done is lose ourselves under pressure, stress, and all of that kind of stuff, is to balance a life between listening to the intuition, because the body is always speaking to us. It's always saying, "Would you please stop?" But do we stop? No. I'd give £1 for every time I've heard this from corporate people, particularly, and also friends in show business. I know I should stop. So why don't you? oh yeah, I haven't got time for it, and that meditation stuff, that's candy floss, and I think, oh, what a shame the left brain dominance is actually
Mhm.
overriding the possibility of right brain balance with tummy brain feeling intellect. If we were working to integrate ourselves in that way, we would be far greater creators and achievers, as we've seen from past history with the ancient Greeks and the Egyptians. And when we built cultures that were, we look at nowadays and we go, how did they do that? They did it because they had lifestyles that put the intuitive senses to the fore, where we've
Yes,
reversed that. We reverse that nowadays.
I
Too
agree
much
with
thinking.
you. I think something that's a little worrisome is that when we see what's going on in the world, I mean, if you were to read the papers over here in the States, I think now there's even more fear of what's going to come next. And so,
Yeah,
will people listen to their intuition? I don't
yeah.
know. We can only hope so, because that's really what we need.
Yeah, well, I can only say I do what I do as a coach to try and do my bit in helping people to learn how to do that. The body is this phenomenal instrument for potential genius. But if we don't know how to live in it and tune it in to those higher sense perceptions of intelligence, then we're still only reliant on what we've been conditioned to be reliant on, and that's thinking, emotions, and limited five sense perception.
That's so true. It really has a lot to do with the conditioning, right? That
Absolutely. So,
this is the way I was brought up. This is what I was taught. This is what
yeah,
everybody in my circle says, and this is
yeah,
what's expected of me.
yeah. And when you look at that, I mean, we know working in the arts, it's about the message that we're constantly running in the head. you know and what we've not been taught is that that's just a movie. It's a self-made movie. So that's what I've learned from self-observation, both being in the business and meditation, is that when you develop the intuitive eye, you can look at the personality's conditioned mind doing all that stuff, but you separate yourself from it. It's just a story. And the
Hmm.
more that you learn to detach from the story, the less it has power over you and affects you, your life, and your relationships. And the more real you become as a person, because you get this deeper sense of, oh my God, I'm not just this story. I'm not just spending energy on running this story again and again and again, which then, because we're creatures of habit, becomes our embodied habit of behavior. And then we go around behaving and trying to get people to buy into our story just to feel okay. It's like, if you'll buy my story, then at least I have meaning and purpose.
Right.
So I think every one of us, if we were in Hollywood, we'd all be up for Oscars, because we're all fantastic. A melodrama, psychodrama, comedy, musical, we can play them all. But that's why Shakespeare said, the whole world is a stage and we're all actors upon the stage of life. So that's what I've learned. And
That's
like I
very
say,
true.
yeah.
Yeah.
So they're simple truths. In even in the scriptures, it says, to yourself be true, and the truth will set you free. So what I've learned in working with thousands of people, and my own experience, is we don't know who the self is. We think it's this conditioned self, and that couldn't be further removed from who we truly are.
Hmm. Hmm.
So we have to know how to recognize that. So it's down to proper education. And we have to know how to understand how consciousness functions and how to operate it in these bodies that we've got.
And these bodies are just channels, right? That are just
Yeah.
carrying our information.
It's literally just an instrument. So, for those that understand, like the spiritual masters I've been with, they know that they are consciousness. And the body is purely the instrument that they're choosing to be in order to relate that consciousness. And to help other people realize, hey, look, you've just fallen asleep. You know, you're living in a dream and you think you're awake, and sometimes your dream is a nightmare. You know? so you know, and then what you do is because you believe that's real, and because your five senses respond as if it's real, you keep buying into it. You know, and then you embody it literally. And like you just mentioned with fear, you know, there's so much advanced knowledge now in using fear to manipulate and control people, that it's being masterfully done. So how do we cope with that? We have to know, my God, you know, how I choose to think about these fear messages I'm getting from everywhere, and how I choose to feel about that inside my own body is vitally important, because I need to know the difference between imagination fear and fight or flight response. They're two different things.
Mhm.
Right?
Yes,
And
they definitely are.
Most fear, especially in the media and the movies, most fear is nothing more than entertainment. It's just a story.
Right, because they always need more stories, right? The only way the media operates is with more stories, more information. So, you know, you really have to determine what is the true news and what is the fake news. But we have to take a break. And when we come back, you are going to perform for us. And then you and I did not speak about this, but I would love to have an on-air coaching session about something I'm going through with this 75 hard challenge. So what are your thoughts about that? Will you help me?
I would do my very best to do so.
Fantastic. All right. Okay. For our break today, we're going to play a beautiful song. It just gets me all energized. The singer is Madeline Chan. Do you know her?
Not yet.
Okay. Her song is Follow Love. So let's take a look at this and we'll be right back.
Go.
By your love. What you give me is just not enough. I need a love to take me higher and higher and higher. Every step I take, I feel more awake. Getting closer now, I feel so alive. Stopping me, this is how I live. Ever closer now. Just follow love. Love will take you there. Just follow love. Follow me. Just follow love. Love will take you there. Just follow love. Follow me. Follow love.
You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Hello and welcome back to USA Global TV and Business Talk Radio. You're watching Life's Amazing Journey with this handsome guy, John Christian. Mm-hmm. Our guest is not able to make it today, so John and I think we could just actually go on for a few hours here. I think we're having a very interesting conversation. So I would love for you to perform your song, and then we can get into a little on-air coaching session.
Okay, great. I actually put this song up for our guest today because she's very much a lady that works with the heart and gathering women around the world to deal with heart intelligence and stuff like that. So this is from one of my albums called One Heart in Time. I'll just set it up here. When I was small, my world was magic. But Now I'm standing in the battle zone. We're trading beauty for a golden tower. In the darkest hour before the dawn, one heart in time can save the whole design. Your love and mine is one more heart in time. The night is falling. We must all make choices to raise our voices against the wrong. Poets and dreamers, all you seekers of wisdom, hold to your vision until the dawn. One heart in time can save the whole design. Your love and mine is one more heart in time. Your love and mine is one more heart in time. One more heart in time.
That's for you, Desiree Richardson. We hope you're feeling better. That was beautiful, John. Thank you.
Sounds like, whoops. Sounds like my audience of late, like what
By the way, you actually went to a live event with our guest from last week, Alyssa Finn. How was that?
It was great. It was so nice to be in the theater with people alive and breathing without masks on, and to watch a live show. It was just delightful, and she was fabulous.
What was the highlight of the show? It was a cabaret, right?
Yeah. You know, and just see, she's a magnificent talent. Whoops! I just realized you've got to hold on for 1 second for me,
okay,
because my laptop battery is going. I'll be back 1 second.
Oh, no problem. Yeah. So John went to see Alyssa Finn, who was our guest last week. She is a musical theater artist. And if you didn't see the show, please go over to our YouTube channel, which is USA Global TV. She's really phenomenal. Not only does she have an amazing voice and she comes from a musical family, but she acts the whole thing. And it's just a rare talent, especially when we've been alone for so long. We haven't been able to go to a theater. The fact that John was able to go and actually meet with somebody we've had on the show is amazing.
It was such a delight, you know. And every time I go to the theater, everything within me wants to be on the stage with the artists as well. You know?
Of course. What does that look like for you, John? When do you think that'll happen?
Well, I hope so soon. You know, I mean, I'm back on the film set tomorrow. So
good.
That quickly.
That's exciting. Very good. Are you playing the part of a doctor, or that's a different one?
I'm playing the part of a businessman tomorrow. So
okay, very versatile.
I'm the boss tomorrow.
Will you be wearing a suit?
I will.
Oh, how handsome, debonair. You
Yes.
have to take a photograph so we can post it.
Oh, definitely. Okay, we'll do that. Yeah, no problem.
Oh, good. Perfect. Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to talk to you about my little dilemma that I'm going through. And it might just be a mind game that I'm putting myself through. I don't know. But may I share it with you?
Sure.
Okay, so I'm going to try to give you the information as a man would want to hear it, not as a woman giving the whole story. So I have committed to do 75 hard, which is a challenge that's really about mental toughness. And there are 5 things that you have to do for our audience watching who doesn't know. So you have to take a picture of yourself every day, and I guess it gets sent to them. And the second thing you have to do is you have to read 10 pages of something educational, something motivational, not a novel, not a magazine, and it has to be something in your hand that tangible that you can hold on to, flip pages. The third thing is you have to work out twice a day for 45 minutes, and the workouts have to be, I think, 2 or 3 hours apart. You can't do them together, and one of them must be outside, and it doesn't matter what the weather is. The fourth thing is you have to drink a gallon of water every day. You have to also follow some type of diet. There's nothing specific, but it has to be obviously healthy, and there can be no cheat food. So it doesn't say anything specific except for, I think, alcohol and maybe sugar. So I decided to do this because I heard people talking about it on Clubhouse Breakfast with Champions. I got the book. I got my little counter that has the number of days that are left. And so you start from 75. So the long and short of it is I've been doing it and I really don't want to do it anymore. And the reason every day I say I don't want to do this anymore. And it's not because I am weak or I want to give up. I already know that I'm mentally tough living with ulcerative colitis for all these years, but it's exhausting because of my schedule. So I'm not getting the sleep that I would want. And then drinking a gallon of water, I'm literally running to the bit. Like I don't have to do it now, thank goodness, but literally all day, 40 times a day running. So I don't know if that's acceptable or it's just the ego. So I'm literally torn every day.
Okay. Well, here's the difference to help yourself. It's a lot of stories, just that one thing with all the things to consider, right? So that takes you very mental. So then it's more difficult to be true to your physical energy. It's what I call body wisdom, because the body's speaking cellularly to us, and it's saying, please don't push me harder. Please don't give me something else to do. But our conditioning says, like you've just said to yourself, oh my God, I go into my head and I've got a question. Is it the right thing to do? Shouldn't I do the right thing? So it's constantly an opportunity to be true to ourselves. What does that mean? It means I've got to know the difference between the stories my head's going to come up with, which are millions, and the effect that has over my emotional state, which is disturbance mostly. And the ability to take a bit of time out and sit quietly, focus on your breath, and calm that energy down. If you just think of it as energy, mental, emotional chatter, just think of all that chatter and that busyness going on, and know while I'm in all that busyness, I'm not in a place of listening. So out of that place, I'm likely to say yes to something I shouldn't be saying yes to. Now, here I am, I've created a situation for myself. Well, I am giving me the opportunity, yourself, to be true to myself and learn how to do what I've just described there. How do I sit with myself and really not only think, but feel my energy and ask myself, why am I sensing that I just don't have the time and energy for this? And why am I not talking myself into being true to that? And trying to talk myself out of it. Are you with me?
Yes, I'm totally with you. And here's what comes to mind.
Yeah.
Today's day 14, if I stop, 2 things come to mind. I'm a loser, because in the book, that's basically what it is. Like, you're weak. You couldn't do it. Right. Number 2, I have people following me who are like, oh, this is great. And people are, basically wanting to try certain components of it. I'm going to work out twice a day, but I'm not going to do the rest. I'm going to drink the water, but I'm not going to do the rest. So I feel like I let people down, and I know I have to start with myself, but then maybe I am truly weak. Maybe that's the bottom line.
Well, this is all, that's a whole package. We're like our own personal labyrinth, you know. We're trying to find the way to our real sincere self and how to be true to that. So what you just said is actually the questions come out of the deeper belief in your own value. So when we are striving to really know our own worth and our own value and be true to ourselves energetically every day, we don't get caught in that questioning so much, because you know you're okay whether you make the decision to do it or not, because your value is not dependent on whether you do it or not. Your value is dependent on whether you believe in yourself and trust yourself or not.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Would you agree?
Yes, I definitely agree.
So that for me, with all my years of seeking to understand the spiritual nature and how it talks to us, and that's the real teacher from within. It's your own spiritual nature or intuitive nature speaking to the personality Jacalyn and saying, hey, look, Jacalyn, look, you got all this stuff going on, you're not listening to me, so I'm giving you the chance. You've set yourself up to learn this lesson, to be true to yourself. So what it wants you to know is that your worth and your value is not dependent on whether you do this or other people's opinions of you. It's totally down to your value system relationship with yourself, whether you screw up or don't screw up.
All right. I like that. So one more question. The ego is talking to me now saying, well, why'd you sign up in the first place?
Well, probably again, you know, out of the ego wanting to be part of it and the challenge. You know, we all like a good challenge, but you may not have really been listening to yourself when you signed up. That's the question, right? You know, if you didn't stop and you just jumped in because that's habit, and that's what most people do nowadays, because that's what runs their life. They don't stop first and breathe and feel and check the energy and ask themselves sincerely, do I have the energy to this? Right? And if we start out from that place, then we already feel tired a little bit, because we think, oh God, what? Our intuition says, why did you say yes when you know you should have said no? Right?
Okay, so here's a general question then. So who is the challenge right for? Because in the book, the author, Andy, he talks about the fact that people will come up with excuses. Well, I have a family. Well, I have a job. Well, I'm doing this and I'm doing that. And I just happened to read on this Facebook group, another person who's doing it. He got up at 1 o'clock in the morning to do the first workout because he had to get on a plane, and he knew that he had 2 flights. And by the time, and then he worked out at like midnight for the set. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, what? There's no sleep whatsoever for this person for that day. So is that, I don't know.
Well, listen, everything is about choices. You know, so if you can live with your choice, then fine. If you want to live with a choice that is going to exhaust you or empower you at the end of the day, it's like my first mentor used to say to me, look, you know, life will present you with a smorgasbord of choices. And you can go, oh, I like this and like that, and you can try and take them all on, right? He said, fine, if you want to do that. But what you'll find out at the end of the day is how much it's going to cost you and whether you really wanted to pay the price. And if you didn't want to pay the price and you said yes before, when you should have said no, and you knew it if you were listening, you wouldn't be asking me this question, he would say to us.
All right, I have one more question, if you don't mind, because I don't know if this is the rational side of my brain or this is the emotional side. So here's another story that I tell myself.
Yeah.
You already know that you're strong, Jacalyn, because you gave up caffeine 2.5 years ago. You've never wavered. You gave up sugar 5 or 6 months ago, whatever it was. You've never done drugs. You gave up Chardonnay, which you love. And you are not in a relationship with a man for over 1.5 years. So what is it that you like? Are you just torturing yourself? Are you just punishing yourself? Are you just going to push yourself to the ends of the earth? Is that a story, or what is that?
It's you struggling with the story, you know. And the positive side about that is if we learn to be conscious enough to separate self from the story. It's like, that's my story. That's the story I'm making up. Is it the one I want to invest my time and my energy into? And if it's not, then to be true to myself and others, I should have the courage and the strength and the integrity to be true to that and say no in the first place. Otherwise, it's going to cost me so much.
Right. I'm already tortured by it.
Yeah, precisely. So what you're saying is fantastic, because we all do it. Most of us do it because of the conditioning of our ego self, that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to please everybody and achieve this and achieve that. But what we're really saying underneath that, we're saying, I've been taught to believe that I'm not enough already.
Mm-hmm.
So what am I trying to do? I'm always trying to buy approval or all rightness, thinking it's from other people, but actually what I'm trying to do is buy it for myself, because I still haven't figured out, am I okay or am I not okay? Do I like myself or don't I like myself? Do I like the way I think? Do I like what I choose to believe? Do I like the way I choose to feel and behave? And if you don't, guess what? We're all in this pot of self-struggling, and we can find our way out of that given the right skills and the right awareness, so that the battle becomes an interesting journey, if you like, of self-discovery. So I go through the same things, nowhere near like I used to when I was younger, but I would do the same. I can only answer your question because I've been through the same battles.
I can totally relate to what you're saying, because my whole life I've always been about getting the gold stars, and it really was for myself, because I never felt that I was enough. I always felt like I had to do more and more and more. So I'm wondering, if you were coaching me, and obviously we're just doing this just off the cuff, but if I said, okay, I don't want to do it anymore, it's not serving me, I'm completely stressed out about it, what would be the steps I would have to take so I didn't hate myself for saying that, okay, it doesn't serve me and I'm going to let it go and I'm not going to continue?
Okay, so one, you're already telling yourself the truth and you're sharing it with me. So the truth is, that's, for me, that's your intuition speaking to you. That's the real truth. That's the real Jacalyn. That's the real intelligence, right? And it's just speaking through this mask that Jacalyn has learned to wear, that tells a billion trillion stories, that has nothing to do with who Jacalyn really is. But it's giving Jacalyn this opportunity. She's created an opportunity to know who she is, right? And to be true to that, and then to feel within herself, oh my God, you know what? I actually, maybe for the first time in my life, found myself in a situation without beating myself up and making it a trauma for myself. I actually found the courage to be true to myself and say, do you know what? The truth is, I just haven't got the energy. So if I carry on, I'm lying to the people that are watching me. I'm lying to the group. So what has more integrity? I feel better about myself because I've had the integrity to say, here's the truth, like it or not.
I'm all excited about what you're saying, and I'm also thinking that the whole process of 75 Hard, when I read the backstory, the gentleman who wrote it, who's obviously become very wealthy from it, he's not a doctor, he's not a nutritionist, he's a businessman, he's a marketer. And I have the app, the 75 Hard app, and when you check off the things that you need to do every day, at the very end it pops up, create Instagram post, and you can't get out of that. So it's like you have to post on Instagram so that everyone knows. So there's that like peer pressure. Like, no, I'm not posting so people know I'm not doing it. I have to keep doing it.
Jacalyn, it's the nature of the way man has made society at present in the Western world. And that's what we have to turn around. Look how much life force we waste every day in that struggle within ourselves. Look how many people are sick, exhausted, burned out, terrified, because they're not happy in their own skin, because they don't know how to think properly and decide how to feel and be with themselves properly. So every breath is a delight to be alive.
You're right. You're right. So
right?
we actually, like what I did, I brought this drama on myself,
Yeah.
and I know it, and I know it. So I have to let go of it because it's not serving me, and I will let the world know that I just don't feel like doing it. I'm tired. I don't
See,
feel
I love that you just said that. I absolutely admire you for having the courage online to say that and be that honest with yourself. Because to me, with everything I've learned, that's what sets us free. The truth sets us free energetically, and life feels so much better. How do you feel right now? Because you just said that.
I feel so relieved. I was thinking, oh, it's 7 o'clock. I'm going to have to walk for 45 minutes, come back and make it. It's just too
Right,
much. It's too
right,
much. And I don't
absolutely.
really see, if I'm being honest, I can't say that the 14 days I've seen some amazing change physically or mentally. I
Yeah,
feel I'm not sleeping better. Like I can't actually say, well, this greatness came from it. And when I talk to people who are doing it, they're like, oh, you have to do it for 30 more days. I'm like, I
yeah,
don't think so because I'm not sure what it's going to do to my health
yeah,
as
yeah.
I go through it.
It would destroy your health. You know, play with it in this sense right now. I mean, you just freed yourself. Now you've got to follow through. So you asked me what steps. Now you've
Yes.
got to keep being true to yourself. The most challenging bit in the beginning is the battle with our own ego, because our ego wants to beat us up and go back into guilt, right? Stuff like that. So here's what I've learned to do. If I make a terrible mistake, um, then obviously you feel bad about it because you've made a mistake. But what I've had to learn to do over the years, instead of beat the hell out of myself for months and years and guilt and everything else that went with it, is to go, hey, do you know what? I heard myself recognize I made a mistake. Does that mean there's something wrong with me? No. Actually, it means I'm so intelligent. I recognized part of me made a mistake. Now, if I can learn from that mistake and be true and more real to myself and other people, I find myself something of value and worth, and I have more to contribute.
Yes. You know what? That's so true. Thank you so much for bringing that to light because now I'm looking at it from a different perspective.
Yeah. It's all about changing perspectives. So that's what I've learned, again, through a lifetime in show business and as a speaker on stage, is how to play with changing perspectives. If you're consciously doing that, and like you do with acting, and I was an impressionist as well, always being other people, seeing life from another perspective, you just learn so many life skills. The art is not to lose yourself in that particular role. You play it consciously, because I want to see what life looks like by being this character, playing this role. Because actually, in truth, that's all we're doing. You and I are playing a role right here, right now, of the life story that we've built up. The question is, do we bring only the story, or do we bring the value and the wisdom and the knowledge that we've gained that makes a difference?
Well said. Well said. Thank you so much. You've really helped me. And I appreciate it. And a question I have for you, because some people in our audience might be thinking this, people have mentioned this to me about me, and I'm going to ask you about you, even though I already know the answer. But so people might think that, okay, you're an entertainer.
Yeah.
I'm a show host. You're a coach. I'm a coach. So when you're entertaining, or when I'm in this role, people have mentioned that it's about being in the limelight. It's center stage, and that's very egocentric. Whereas the coaching part is more heart centric. So how do those two come together? And is the entertainment piece really egocentric? When people see on the stage, they go, "Oh, a handsome man with a beautiful voice. He's got to have an ego like this big."
Yeah.
So, what would you say to that?
What I would say to that now is life is a school through which you learn the qualities of integrity and humility and all the good qualities of the heart. So, and show business and the media is the greatest school you and I and others could be put in to quicken those lessons in life, if you like. So, What I would say is that the bringing of that together, because I've swung, when I started out on show business, I was the introvert. I was afraid. I didn't trust myself. All my worth had been beaten out of me in the education system. So this intelligent universe put me in show business to learn to value myself again. And then I swung in the opposite direction into the attention and the fame and the adoration. And then I realized, oh God, this is really painful being this egotistical and people making those accusations and dumping on me because of it. So I had to learn to be true to myself. It comes back to the same thing. So who am I? How do I go onto the stage and not need to do it for false attention seeking, but I do it because actually I've worked my backside off to earn the right to have these talents, these gifts and these abilities, and to share them with people so it makes a difference in my life and in theirs. And that is the focus of my intention. When that's your focus, your heart immediately comes in. So you don't just give people a performance that's mentally orientated of I need to impress you. You give them your wisdom and your life's experience through the song, through the performance. It makes a fundamental difference.
And yes, that definitely does. And then John, also when you are performing, isn't there a big part of you that's still humble, that's still, maybe you get a little jittery, maybe you have some butterflies because you're still a person. You're performing a role, but you're still a human being with feelings.
This is an interesting question. It's like, how do we come to peace with embracing our humanity and our personality and all of its traits and all of its essence and learning? For me, the more you work to realize that you are this part of this great intelligence and it's breathing itself into you and it's guiding you if you're listening. And your little body and your personality is just the result of all of that. So it's going to have its flaws and its weaknesses because that's the very nature of it. But the more you know who you are in essence, the more those little things can come up and wobble like energy waves in you, but you just don't buy into it and make it like a real story and behave as if it's real, so you become freer and freer. So, and then for me now, when I perform from that place, I'm not trying to impress any longer like I used to in the older. My sense of my worth and my value is not dependent on whether the audience love me or approve of me, because I've died on my backside a million times anyway. As well as having great achievements. So you learn that your true sense of worth is not dependent on the external, as lovely as that is to get it back. When you sit in that place with yourself, then you bring an energy and a creativity, and you bring the jewel of your talent and your years of life experience to the stage.
Yes. Brilliant. I love the way you describe that. Thank you. Yeah. I just noticed the time, which I'm shocked. We are, my next show starts in 11 minutes, but something I want to leave our audience with, I thought this was kind of interesting. I had a presenter on Talking Heads. His name is Devin Shu, and he is one of the world's leading experts in handwriting analysis. And I was unaware that in the UK and other places in the world, handwriting analysis is used as a recruiting tool. And I guess when you're looking to hire people, they look at your handwriting to see if you're a good fit. So the reason I bring this up is when you were talking about, breathing and sitting and being alone with your thoughts and who you are, he said to me that he could tell by my handwriting, and I don't know him, I never met him before. He said that I could live alone on an island and I wouldn't need anyone because I'm very self-sufficient. So it's not about my ego. And I said, I actually do live on an island, and I've been with my mother for 18 months and it's just the two of us. So it's sort of like counterintuitive what I brought up to you, because sitting alone with everything I already know, but I wasn't being true to myself. And so you really helped me realize that once again, I was going into the ego, thinking about what are people going to say if I say that I don't want to do it anymore? Not that I can't, I don't want to do it and I'm not going to. There.
Yeah, that's fabulous. You know, I like I say, I really admire you for having the honesty, self-honesty, and especially on air, to admit that and be so real. And I'm sure that that's going to go out and touch a lot of people's hearts and souls, that you're just being that real. One thing I'd like to add about ego: the ego gets a bad rap because we tend to only think that ego is when we see somebody who's trying to please and trying to impress, and we sense it, we feel it intuitively. But ego, you can have a healthy ego, and we have to have an ego because it's just an energy field. That's all it means, the ego. So I jokingly say, like, we can have a soft-boiled ego or a hard-boiled ego. A hard-boiled ego is hard to get through. People, you know, you were just easy to get through to. So you have a soft-boiled ego.
Well, thank you. It was fun sharing my ego with you for breakfast, your lunch today.
So
John, I'm going to, I'm sorry, go ahead. Yeah, I was going to say, I have to stop here, but I'm going to highlight you. This has been so much fun. I'm sorry Desiree couldn't make it today, but you and I have had a blast, I feel. Yeah. And so if we don't have any more guests, it's okay, because we could just do the show ourselves. Yeah, but we do like guests. But I'm going to spotlight you. I'm going to put up some of your visuals. So if you would share with us, let me find them. Here it is. This is your training course. You want to speak to this?
That's my online training program. It's 10 modules of the best things I've learned that really personally helped me and have helped hundreds and hundreds of other people I've worked with. So if you're interested, drop me a line, john@lifebalanceportal.com, and I'll tell you more about it. The website is lifebalanceportal.com. And this is my free ebook on developing your intuitive intelligence. So again, drop me an email, john@lifebalanceportal.com, and I'll send you a copy. And this one is a book I contributed to with 11 other storytellers about the catalysts that changed their lives, put them in another direction.
Fantastic. John, it's always such a pleasure seeing you. You always brighten my day. And I'm going to be celebrating this weekend because now I have some newfound time that I can actually take for myself and do something instead of being under the gun all the time.
And we want to hear now how you're unfolding this.
I will start to bring this into my social media postings so that people know that it's okay, that once you make a decision that maybe you decided to do something and it's not really what you wanted to do in the first place, and you just got wrapped in, and it's okay to let it go. So
and that affects our whole sense of well-being and ultimately our health.
Definitely.
So
all right, my friend.
If people like the music, they can find songs on my website.
Okay, and that is lifebalanceportal.com.
Yeah.
All right. John and I are saying goodbye for now. Join us for A Better You. Our presenters are Daphne DeLucci and Ricky McKenna. We'll be right back in 6 minutes. Bye, John. Bye. Bless you too. Bye.